Let's get right into it. Number 10. Reflective road lines. Imagine driving down a dark road in the 1930s. No street lights, no reflective lines, just you and your dim headlights trying not to drive into a ditch. That was normal back then. People just accepted that night driving was basically a game of guess where the road is. Then one night a guy named Percy Shaw is driving home in England. He used to rely on the reflection of his headlights off the shiny tram lines to stay on the road, but they'd been removed. While driving in the dark, he saw two tiny lights reflecting in the distance. It was a cat, sitting by the road, its eyes glowing in his headlights. But instead of thinking creepy cat eyes like a normal person, Percy had his aha moment. He invents these little reflective markers called cat's eyes. They're basically tiny mirrors in rubber housings that sit in the road. When it rains, the rubber housing even cleans the reflectors as cars drive over them. It's like having thousands of cats guiding you home, minus the judgmental stares. It took us until the 1950s to start using reflective paint for road lines more widely. For decades, we had the technology to make things reflective. We just didn't think to paint the lines on the road with it. Humans were out there inventing nuclear weapons before someone said, hey, maybe we should make the road lines visible at night. So next time you're driving at night, thank that random cat in 1930s England. Number 9. Color-coded wiring. Imagine you're an electrician in the 1920s. You're staring at a bunch of identical black wires coming out of a wall. One of these wires can literally kill you if you touch it. The others are perfectly safe. Good luck guessing which is which. For decades, every single wire looked exactly the same. It was basically like playing Russian roulette with electricity. Electricians had to develop some pretty wild methods to figure out which wire was which. Some would sacrifice cheap tools by touching them to wires to see which ones sparked, and yes, plenty of them got electrocuted doing their jobs. The technology to make colored wire insulation existed since the early 1900s. They were already making colored rubber and plastic for other things, but the idea wasn't widely adopted for wiring until around the 1940s. We figured out how to harness electricity, build massive power grids, and create all sorts of electrical appliances, but making wires different colors so people wouldn't die took a few extra decades. Once they finally started color-coding wires, everyone was like, oh, this makes so much sense. These days, the color codes are so simple that even a DIYer can understand what not to touch. Number 8. Camouflage in warfare. Imagine you are playing hide and seek, but instead of hiding, you put on a bright red coat and a shiny gold hat. That sounds pretty dumb. That is exactly what armies did for hundreds of years. Picture this. It is 1800. You are a soldier in the British Army, and your commanders dress you in the brightest red coat they can find. You might as well be wearing a sign that says, please shoot here, with a big arrow pointing at your chest. And it was not just the British. Everyone was doing it. The French went with bright blue and white. The Russians loved their gleaming white uniforms. It is like they were trying to make their soldiers as visible as possible. The official reason was so commanders could see their troops through all the smoke on the battlefield, but the enemy could see them too. It took until World War I for armies to finally realize that maybe, just maybe, dressing soldiers like Christmas decorations was not the best idea. Machine guns finally convinced them. Nothing makes you rethink your fashion choices quite like getting mowed down by automatic weapons. The French army actually started World War I still wearing bright blue coats and red pants. Their reasoning was that the red pants are France. France lost a lot of soldiers before finally switching to less colorful options. Humanity needed thousands of years of warfare to figure out that hiding from the enemy might be a good strategy. Number 7. The little arrow on the fuel gauge. You pull into a gas station. Before 1989, what happened next was basically a game show. You'd pull up to the pump, hop out of your car, and realize the gas tank is on the other side. Now you've got to do that awkward 3-point turn while everyone at the station watches and judges. People would try everything to remember which side their gas tank was on. Some would write L or R on their dashboard with a Sharpie. Some people tied a ribbon to their side mirror on the gas tank side. Then in 1989, a designer at Ford named Jim Moylan had a brilliant idea. Just put a tiny arrow next to the fuel gauge. It took us nearly a century of car manufacturing to figure this out. We put people on the moon before we thought to put an arrow on the dashboard. It cost basically nothing to add. It's just a little bit of ink or a tiny piece of plastic molded into the gauge. Yet it saves millions of people from doing the gas station walk of shame every day. Number 6. The shopping cart. Picture this. It's 1937, and you're running a grocery store. Your customers keep complaining that their arms hurt from carrying heavy baskets. The obvious solution would be to put wheels on something bigger. That's what Sylvan Goldman thought when he invented the shopping cart, but nobody wanted to use them. The men thought pushing a cart made them look weak, and the women said it reminded them too much of pushing baby carriages. Goldman was basically sitting on a gold mine, but his customers would rather have sore arms than touch his carts, so he hired actors to push shopping carts around his store all day. These people would fill up their carts, walk around looking fancy, and check out with huge smiles on their faces. It's like the world's first influencer marketing campaign, except instead of selling diet tea on Instagram, they were selling the idea of not having sore arms. And it worked. Other shoppers started thinking, hey, if that cool person is using a cart, maybe I should too. Before shopping carts, stores couldn't sell as much because people could only buy what they could carry. This simple invention with wheels literally changed how much money stores could make. Number 5. Windshield wipers. It's 1902, and you're driving through the rain in your fancy new automobile. To see the road, you're sticking your head out the window like a golden retriever. For years, early drivers had two options when it rained: become a human hood ornament or just stop driving. Some clever folks tried rubbing onions on their windshields because they thought the oil would repel water. Others would rub tobacco juice on the glass. Neither of these worked, and now your car smells like Grandpa's kitchen. Then one day, Mary Anderson is riding a streetcar in New York. She notices the driver has to keep stopping to wipe snow off the windshield. Mary wasn't some big-shot engineer or inventor. She was just a regular person who thought, this is stupid. There has to be a better way. Her solution was a rubber blade on a spring-loaded arm that could be moved back and forth with a lever, a windshield wiper. The craziest part is when she tried to sell her patent to car companies, they told her it would be too distracting for drivers. Yeah, because sticking your head out the window in a thunderstorm is way less distracting. By the time car companies finally realized this was a good idea, Mary's patent had expired. She never made a penny from her invention. Number 4. The elevator brake. Imagine you're in New York City in 1853. You're standing in front of an elevator. It's basically a platform held up by a single rope. If that rope snaps, you'll reach the ground floor really, really fast. Back then, elevators were like playing Russian roulette with gravity. Then Elisha Otis comes along. He's supervising the construction of a factory and is frustrated with the dangerous hoists they're using. So he invents this ridiculously simple solution: a spring-loaded brake. If the cable snaps, metal pawls spring out from the platform and catch on ratchet bars in the guide rails. That's the whole invention. It's like safety bars on a roller coaster. Except this saves you from becoming a human pancake. To prove it worked, Otis did something absolutely insane. He went to the World's Fair in 1854, got on an elevator platform, and had himself hoisted up 4 stories high. Then, in front of a horrified crowd, he ordered someone to cut the rope. The platform dropped a few inches. The brakes caught, and Otis just stood there like he was waiting for a bus. And just like that, the game was changed. Before the safety brake, buildings were limited to about 6 stories. Nobody wanted to climb more stairs than that. After Otis showed off his brake, skyscrapers became possible. One guy looked at a death trap and realized it just needed a brake. Number 3. Shipping containers. So picture this. It's 1950 and you're watching dock workers load a ship. It looks like the world's worst game of Tetris. There are barrels rolling around, wooden crates of different sizes, and some poor guy trying to figure out how to stack a piano next to a pile of coconuts. Loading a single ship could take weeks, and stuff would break, get stolen, or just mysteriously disappear. It was such a mess that shipping costs were often a huge part of the value of what you were shipping. Like, imagine paying $100 to ship a $50 item. That's basically what was happening. Then this guy named Malcolm McLean comes along. He's a trucking company owner who thinks there's got to be a better way. And then he has this crazy idea. Everything should just come in the same size box. I know, mind-blowing stuff here. But here's the thing. Nobody was doing it. We invented writing, built pyramids, and split the atom, but somehow standardized boxes were too complicated. McLean designed this steel container that can be locked, stacked, and moved easily from trucks to trains to ships, and suddenly, shipping costs dropped by 95%. But the best part is these containers are basically giant adult Lego blocks. They stack perfectly, lock together, and you don't have to worry about your piano crushing someone's coconuts anymore. And it's all because one guy in the 1950s watched some dock workers struggling and thought, maybe we should just put everything in big boxes. Number 2. Germ Theory. It's the 1800s, and doctors are going straight from dissecting dead bodies to delivering babies. No hand washing, no gloves, just wiping their hands on their fancy doctor coats and calling it a day. Women are dying left and right from childbed fever after giving birth, and nobody can figure out why. They blamed it on everything from bad air to the women feeling embarrassed about being examined by male doctors, because embarrassment totally causes fever and death. Ignaz Semmelweis, a Hungarian doctor, had this crazy idea. He suggested that walking around with corpse particles on your hands wasn't great for patient health. Revolutionary stuff. He made doctors wash their hands with a chlorine solution between patients. Death rates in his clinic dropped from over 10% to less than 1%. But instead of getting a medal, Semmelweis got ridiculed and eventually lost his job. His colleagues were super offended. How dare he suggest that gentlemen doctors could have dirty hands? The nerve of this guy, implying that prestigious doctors were killing their patients. We had microscopes since the 1600s. We could literally see these tiny organisms. But for hundreds of years, everyone was like, nah, that can't be it. Must be evil spirits or something. Semmelweis died in an asylum, driven mad by no one believing him. It took another 20 years before people like Louis Pasteur and Joseph Lister finally proved he was right all along. Number 1. The stirrup. Imagine riding a horse without anything to put your feet on. You're just sitting there, legs dangling, trying not to fall off every time the horse moves. That's how humans rode horses for thousands of years, charging into battle, shooting arrows, swinging swords, all while trying not to fall off. For over 4,000 years, nobody thought to add a simple foot support. People were building pyramids, inventing mathematics, and writing epic poems. But apparently, a little metal loop to put your foot in was too complicated. Then around 300 AD, someone in Asia had an idea. Just hang loops on the side of the saddle, and just like that, the stirrup was born. This tiny invention changed everything. Suddenly, riders could stay on their horses without using all their energy just trying not to fall off. They could stand up in the saddle, which made it way easier to shoot arrows or swing weapons with force. It's like going from trying to fight while standing on a mechanical bull to having a stable platform. The stirrup spread across Asia and into Europe faster than gossip in a small town. Every army that adopted stirrups suddenly had a huge advantage. Some historians even say the stirrup helped create feudalism in Europe, because now heavily armed knights on horseback were so effective in battle, they became the medieval equivalent of tanks. It took humans longer to figure out foot go in loop than it did to invent writing. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.